Hello, good morning and welcome to Ireland AM. It is Tuesday, the 25th of July.
Coming up today, concert tickets, catnaps and cameos.
Yeah, first up this morning though, amid concerns about antisocial behaviour in Dublin city centre, there have been promises of more Gardaí on our streets, but is it enough? And what about the rest of the country? Surely it's not just isolated incidents in Dublin city centre, because we've heard of things happening all over the place. We will be discussing, and as always, we would love to hear from you. What would you like to see being done? 0896 111 111.
Also this morning, Love Island funny man and ex of Maura Higgins, Chris Taylor, tells us how he landed a role in the Barbie movie after rubbing shoulders with Margot Robbie at an after party.
Oh, look at that. I'm rubbing shoulders with Sean Defoe. I'm like, will I get to go into the doll? Is that what happens? I get to go into the...
Yeah, you'll be on +1.
Very exciting. Plus, if you struggle to sleep at night, our gadget guru will be here with the hottest tech for your bedroom. It's clean. It's all good. It's fine, right?
Yeah, we're sure. Katya, what else have we got that's please also clean?
Yeah, we're keeping it PG this morning, guys. We're talking ticket trauma and why concert tickets are becoming more and more expensive. Yes, and in the kitchen, we've got a peach pie, and on the catwalk, we're talking waistcoats for both men and women. We're not forgetting the men this morning. Now, our Derek is out and about this morning. Where in the country are you today? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Katya, and welcome down to the real capital, as I'd say, down this neck of the woods. We're live here in Cork this morning to dry and settle to start that mixture of bright spells and sunshine tickets right across today, with showers then developing in across western areas later on tonight. But we're down here, as we mentioned, here in the heart of Cork city centre, the beautiful Riverlee Hotel just over my shoulder here. It is a gorgeous part of the city. Of course, Cork Pride kicking off in a wee while. We're going to be getting our padam on a little bit later on in the build-up to the event. So lots of fun and frolics coming to you from Cork right across the morning. And bear in mind, Wirren, you mentioned there about Kerry yesterday. We're off to Killarney tomorrow. So we're going to stay down south for the next 2 days.
I was just about to say, we got to cover all our bases. We couldn't just be in Dublin in the lead-up.
We're covering all bases.
Good man. I've had a lovely night inside in that very hotel for Cork Jazz. You know, you'd have a great one with that, you would. It looks beautiful in Cork, and hopefully it's sunny where you're waking up this morning. Right now, it's time to go over to the Virgin Media News Hub for the very first time today and say hello to Cliona Russell.
Thanks, Muireann. Good morning. One publicly funded IVF cycle will be available to eligible couples from September. Minister for Health Stephen Donnelly is expected to announce the funding today. It's understood that an IVF cycle will be funded for those who have had no more than one privately funded cycle. Under the budget, €10 million was allocated to start the rollout of free infertility treatments from September. Hundreds of holidaymakers are attempting to leave Greece again today as dozens of fires continue to blaze across the island of Rhodes. The government there says it has launched the biggest rescue of its kind. Despite the crisis, some flights from Ireland to Greece continue, but the Department of Foreign Affairs is asking Irish people to stay away from affected areas and to comply with evacuation orders.
Fighting flames that are out of control. Over a week after wildfires broke out on the Greek island of Rhodes, the blazes continue to destroy homes, land and wildlife. Further evacuations are continuing. So far, 19,000 people have been forced to flee as fires sweep across the countryside. The conditions for fighting these blazes are difficult. Winds are notoriously variable on the islands, while temperatures are set to remain above 30 degrees. Satellite images over Rhodes capture the miles of smoke filling the air in its wake. Hundreds of holidaymakers have filled Rhodes International Airport, waiting to get home. More repatriation flights are due today. Help has arrived from the European Union, while Turkish firefighting planes have also joined the effort. 2 other islands are also battling wildfires, but the situation in Corfu and Evia is not as severe. Trish Laverty, Virgin Media News.
The pace at which the government is implementing agreed climate policy is not acceptable. That's the warning from the Climate Change Advisory Council, which published its annual review for 2023 today. It called for a range of measures to be introduced urgently, including higher taxes for diesel and petrol cars and parking levies at workplaces. It warns that unless emissions begin to fall much more rapidly, the target set in April of last year will be missed. Doctors across Israel are set to strike today in protest against the passing of a key part of Benjamin Netanyahu's judicial overhaul. Thousands of protesters took to the streets of Jerusalem and Tel Aviv last night, with scuffles breaking out between police and protesters. In yesterday's vote, lawmakers approved a measure that prevents judges from striking down government decisions on the basis that they are unreasonable. Despite the bill being passed, the White House said the partnership between the US and Israel is firm.
Our decades-long partnership is ironclad. That continues to be the case. Our commitment to Israel's security is ironclad. And one of the things that you've heard us say before, and I'll reiterate, the core of that relationship is certainly on democratic values, is shared democratic values and interests, and that will continue to be the case.
The emergency department at Wexford General Hospital is set to reopen today. It was closed on the 1st of March due to a fire that damaged a large part of the hospital. The reopening of the ED was a major priority for hospital management and the HSE, as all emergency cases had to be diverted to neighbouring hospitals in Waterford, Kilkenny or Dublin. The 4-month turnaround is being described as a remarkable achievement. However, the hospital will not be back to full bed capacity.
We compare 14 insurance quotes to get you the best deal. So choose chill and work smarter, not harder.
Thank you, Ger, and a very good morning. We're coming to you live here from the heart of Cork City Centre this Tuesday. Of course, Cork Pride kicking off very, very soon. So later on this morning, we're going to be catching up with some of the team who make it all happen, including the Cork frontrunners. So that's all to come later on this morning in and around 8:45. Anyway, we're slipping past 7 o'clock here together. Let's take a look weather-wise at how it's shaping up now with Oisin Moore with us on cameras and Alan Poole on sound. And I have to say, a beautiful start down here in Cork this morning. We're just along the banks of the River Lee. Elsewhere, a mixture of bright spells and cloud cover with some light passing showers there, just touching on to the northern part of Leitrim in those light westerly winds. Now, right across today, in fact, make the most of the bright spells, the morning sunshine if you're getting it, because it will slip across today, and we're going to see that cloud cover thicken through parts of the west. By late evening, we're going to see some showers edge in through parts of the west and across the southwest. Top temps not too bad out there today. In fact, a degree up on yesterday at 17 to 20 degrees. Finally, then tonight, this is where we're going to see conditions slip through parts of the west. That band of rain pulling in across Connacht through the southwest as well. So we're expecting a bit of a bumpy ride as we work our way into your Wednesday with overnight lows there back to 8 to 12 degrees. So that's how it's shaping up here in a sunny and settled Cork City Centre. At the moment, we'll be back again live 7:35.
Chill Insurance work harder so you can work smarter. We compare 14 quotes to get you the best deal.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We're going to start with the Irish Times. Its headline, Climate Watchdog urges coalition to act. The Climate Change Advisory Council has said Ireland will not meet its legally binding climate targets unless actions are taken immediately.
The Examiner leads with raise car tax to meet green targets. Higher taxes for diesel and petrol cars and parking levies in workplaces are needed to cut emissions, say the Climate Change Advisory Council.
No records are kept of missing foster children. That's the top story on the Daily Mail today. TUSLA has been accused of a dereliction of duty after confirming it does not collect data on the number of children who go missing from foster care.
The Sun leads with golden plunder. Gardaí have launched a probe after the leader of the far-right National Party, Justin Barrett, claims gold bars worth €400,000 were stolen from a vault in Dublin yesterday.
The Mirror also goes with gold case. It emerged yesterday that officers had located the alleged stolen quantity of gold the National Party said was stolen and are trying to establish if a crime was committed. We are going to have more on that story in just a little while.
Treasure Island in Dublin Bay South. The Star leads with kidnapped, tortured, beaten and slashed. A Garda raid stopped a gangland killing by associates of major West Dublin drug dealers known as the Family. The victim was brought to a Dublin hospital where he remains being treated for his injuries.
The Herald also covers this story with man's machete torture nightmare. The victim was abducted from his West Dublin home and was missing for several hours before he was found in a caravan miles from his home.
state to pay the full cost of IVF for women up to age 40. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. The state will pay for a full cycle of IVF treatment for couples trying to conceive from September, couples who don't have children and where the woman is under 41 years of age and meets certain body mass index criteria will be eligible for the scheme. We'll be talking about that in a bit more detail shortly.
We will, but as we just saw on the front of some of the papers about a man who was taken and tortured in a caravan, we're actually going to be discussing, as we mentioned, the IVF later on, but we are going to be discussing coming up next crime in Dublin city centre. After the attack on a tourist in Dublin, a person who is in fear of losing their eye, we're still not sure there. There was 2 more attacks last night, one in Temple Bar and one on Ormond Quay.
Yeah.
So we want to talk about that, 0896 111 111. And we're not forgetting the rest of the country. We'd love to hear what's going on in your area with antisocial behaviour.
Yeah, you do wonder, are we just hearing about this rise or is it an actual rise? Is it stuff that's going on that we weren't hearing about? We will be discussing the violence and antisocial behaviour after this.
Welcome back. Now, you will have all heard it and everyone is talking about it following recent physical attacks in Dublin's city centre. There have been calls for more of a Garda presence in the capital and more Gardaí have indeed been promised.
Here to talk about the violence and how best to tackle it is Lord Mayor of Dublin, Daithí de Rochta, and criminologist Cliodhna O'Connor. Good morning to you both and thanks a million for coming in. Daithí, you might just start with you because obviously we're talking about this attack on Stephen Termini last week, but there were 2 more attacks yesterday. You might give us some of the detail of what actually happened.
Just another couple of assaults have happened in the city centre last night. Again, I know Garrett McNamee was tweeting last night about some of the instances that happened in Temple Bar.
From the Irish Daily Mail,
yeah. And unfortunately, it's the latest in the litany
there was a woman in Temple Bar,
yeah,
and there was a person then also assaulted on Ormond Quay. You've been on the Joint Policing Task Force in Dublin for 7 years now. What's going on, Daithí? Like, why are we sitting there going, Joe Biden arrives and there's nothing but guards on every single street corner? And I've walked around Dublin so much in the past 2 weeks, not a guard anywhere.
Maureen, it's so frustrating. Like, and where did, as you said, for years we were coming out of the Hutch-Kinahan feud and things were starting to get better. 2018, 2019, COVID hit. And then no Gardaí came out of Templemore for a couple of years, and we're seeing the impact probably of a decade of underinvestment in Garda Síochána on the streets of Dublin at the moment, and it's very, very frustrating.
But where does that turn around as well? Because we've heard of the last few years, you know, record numbers going into Templemore and the government funding all this sort of stuff. But is it even meeting pace with retirements?
I don't think so. I made the point yesterday over a course of a lot of interviews. 222 people have come out of Templemore this year in the first 6 months. And 209 have either resigned or retired. Yeah. Right. So you're net 13 Gardaí coming out of Templemore. That, like, as community representatives, as people who are passionate about our city and love our city, that's very, very frustrating because it's not resourced properly to deliver a proper Garda response. And
with no offence to people coming out of Templemore, but much less experienced guards don't have that experience in the community. Like, Trina, a lot of the talk of the last few weeks has just been more guards on the street. That'll solve it. Will it, or is it more complicated?
It is much more complex than that. Like, we can't police our way. Excuse me. We can't police our way out of this. And if we try and police our way out of this situation, well, then what we're going to do is create career criminals. Because if we're going to go just punishment, lock them up, throw away the key, that's no use, because we are dealing with children. Now, my question is, it was a 14-year-old that was arrested for this. So I was involved in the NUIC.
The guards knew who it was almost straight
absolutely.
away.
Everybody knows who this gang of young people are. They have been terrorising that area for at least 18 months. During the pandemic, they behaved disgracefully. So in response to the Kinahan and Hutch feud, 30+ million has been put into that area for early intervention. So that child was 9 when all this money started going in there. So I'm scratching my head. I'm very frustrated because I've sat around tables discussing all of these different joint policing committees, strategies, plans. I've done all that, and many people in that community have done all that. But the issue is promises from government are not followed through. For many people in the inner city of Dublin, that's how they feel. They feel there's false dawns.
Can I ask you then? So, as you know, as you sit there and there's plans. I'm from a city whereby there was loads of plans to try to tackle. I'm from Limerick, where there was serious violent crime, and plans were brought in, and it's worked. Like, it has worked. 30 million euro. There'll be people watching who are like, well, I'm also living in an area where there's antisocial behaviour, but 30 million euro has gone into one area. Why in God's name hasn't that worked, and why are we going to throw good money after bad?
Yeah. So the money hasn't been spent in the places that it needs to be spent. So, for example, you have youth clubs, sports clubs, all of these places within that area of the NEIC that still can't get multi-annual funding. So they only know every 12 months whether they're going to get funding. Now, that's very tricky for anybody to plan and organise, whether they're going to have staff for the next year. So you have to wait. So we need to be looking at models like what they had in Scotland with the Violence Reduction Unit, where they fully funded it over a 5-year period, because that's what you need to do a proper intervention. If you're going to do an intervention with young people, you need to support them right through adolescence. And that's the issue here. Young people can be supported for maybe 12 months, then that initiative is gone. And that makes me scratch my head, because I'm like, what's happening here? Yeah. And it's very disillusioning for the young people as well, because they build up a relationship with somebody, and particularly with community guards. They build up a relationship, and then that guard is promoted and moved on.
And Dahi, why is it year to year? Why not do something like that in Dublin City Council, have the initiative to do it multi-year?
Well, Dublin City Council aren't responsible for that. The report you were talking about was the Mulvey report. Yeah. But as I said, it's a twin-pronged approach. A strategy like that can't work while there's also lawlessness on the streets of Dublin. So we do need more guards, and this is what I keep saying: high visibility policing and more Gardaí actually on the streets to police and to tackle the short-term problem. And then, yeah, you do need long-term strategies. Like, as you said, over 30 million euro has been pumped in here. And I'm not here as a spokesperson for government or anything like that, but over 30 million euro has been pumped in, and it hasn't worked when we still see instances like this. And I'm saying the chronic underfunding of the Gardaí and the lack of people on the beat, like, and don't get me wrong, the Gardaí on the ground are absolutely doing their utmost. Well, I've no doubts and no qualms about saying that. They're just not enough of them.
But let's talk about this then. We sit here all the time going, we have so much money in our coffers. What are we going to do with it? We can't trust the government with capital spending. We know we can't. Children's Hospital, we can point to a number of things. But the thing is, if you're a Garda, you're coming out, your first pay scale is what, 34,500 euro. Are you going to get a mortgage for that? Are you going to? Can you live in Dublin City Centre with that? Can you live in Cork? Can you live in Limerick? Like, do we have to look and go, why in God's name am I going to become a community police officer where I've got to create relationships with people, put myself into a certain situation, when I can get a much easier job where I'll be earning more money? Like, do we need to look and go, we need to start paying people? And they have taken away so many pension benefits, so many health benefits, so many things have been taken away from Gardaí. Is it ridiculous to expect people to go in and do this job? Absolutely.
Like, I think it needs root and branch reform in terms of how we recruit Gardaí. Like, as you said, on those kind of money, how can we expect Gardaí to work and live in Dublin starting out on 30-odd thousand a year, and that's what they, you know...
I think
that's
most cities around Ireland, actually. I
think
like,
okay, but...
Certainly,
you know,
but Dublin in particular is... But yeah, most cities,
in terms of rents, or, as you, like you said, going looking for a mortgage and stuff. And like any other industry, if you're struggling to recruit people, you need to look at what the package is on offer to entice more people in, and that needs to happen.
And the package years ago, because, you know, and people will remember this, we used to have housing for new recruits. Yeah. So it's almost like people have forgotten how important Gardaí are. And we used to have housing for nurses, and we used to have housing for social workers, because we acknowledged and accept how low the salary was, and we also held them in high regard. So it's not just some of the communities that don't hold these people in high regard. It feels to me that the people in power have forgotten how important these essential services are, and we need to support them.
We were talking, I saw a lot of people chatting, obviously bringing up the issue of tourism, and we need tourists to come into our country. And then there was very respectful exchanges about people, well, I live in North Inner City Dublin and I think it's fine, and other people going, oh, I live here and I'm afraid to go outside my front door. So Trina, is there an issue, like when you're walking around, that you're like, that's a no-go area, and is the sort of thing that you're like, we need to tell tourists not to walk down that road? So, or are we blowing it out of proportion?
Well, look, there's always moral panics around things. However, what I would say is there are parts of most of the cities around Ireland that are no-go areas, and that is done by design and intentionally done by organised criminality. Yeah. And what you have in parts of Dublin and in parts of Cork is situations where you have young on-street gangs who are conducting drug dealing. So they're putting it out on social media, they're being met by gangs of people and they're dealing out the drugs there. And they have intentionally made that lane or that street very uninviting for people.
Yeah, you can see it. It's like when you walk around, you're going, it's like The Wire. You're kind of sitting there, you don't walk down. You don't walk down there. And it does happen. Like, we're not trying to blow that out of proportion.
No,
you know,
look,
we have
there is.
been walking around.
And you don't want to pick it up too much because there are parts of every city that like that. But it does feel like it's gotten a lot worse, particularly through COVID. Unfortunately, that's all the time we had to chat about it this morning. But listen, Trina, thanks a million for coming in. Dahi, thanks a million for coming in as well. And let us know what you think on the text lines. Still to come, we'll be discussing the government's new plans to fund IVF. Stay with us.
Now, welcome back. The government have just announced that the state will pay for a full cycle of IVF for couples seeking to give birth under a new scheme to be introduced in September.
Here with that story and others hitting the headlines this morning is News Talk's Andrea Gilligan, and joining her to discuss these IVF plans is fertility specialist Laura Hackett. Morning to you both.
Good morning.
Andrea, what exactly is it that Stephen Donnelly is going to bring in from September?
Yeah, look, long-awaited scheme that's been announced as of this morning. Basically, it's a programme that's going to be open to couples who don't already have children. Women have to be under 41 years of age. Aside from the age limits, there's also going to be some criteria around the BMI or the body mass index of the woman. We don't actually have that BMI figure just yet. I mean, the plans have just been announced and the Health Minister, Stephen Donnelly, is due to bring them before Cabinet today. So there will be some further criteria around the BMI that you can have. And also, where there's a known clinical issue previously within either party in the couple, that will also hamper you from basically being able to avail of this IVF treatment. But what it is, I suppose, good news today. It's going to be one round of free IVF for couples who don't already, as I said, have children under 41 and also due to meet the BMI index. And that's literally, I suppose, the details that we have at the moment.
So very few details, Laura, and I'm just wondering, for one round of IVF where you don't have to do, we'll say, you don't have to get donors, you don't have to do all these other things, how much would that cost?
So it depends on the clinic at the moment, and they're private clinics set up at the moment in Ireland, so they'll have different cost variants. I always say 5,000 to 6,000 because there are extra pieces that mightn't be quoted in your IVF or ICSI price up front, things like assisted hatching, blastocyst culture, and these are all things that can, in theory, increase your chances of success or allow you to freeze surplus embryos or whatever. So you're looking at about probably 6,000-ish mark for a cycle of either IVF or ICSI, which is obviously overlooked a lot. And ICSI is just the male version of fertility IVF. So it's where we might have reduced sperm counts or quality, and we inject a sperm cell directly into an egg. A little bit more lab work. It's the exact same for the couples.
Okay.
And it's also three rounds of IUI. What's IUI?
Yeah, so IUI is another great part of the release. That's a more simple, it's suitable for certain couples who might have unexplained or mild male factor fertility issues. It's where we induce ovulation. So we make the egg grow and scan it. We get the egg to release at the right time in the cycle. And then we put the sperm into the uterus. It's washed, purified, the best moving, swimming sperm cells, no pain, like a smear test. It goes into the uterus and it's natural conception. It swims up and meets the egg in the tube. The chances of success are about 15-ish% per cycle, as opposed to maybe for the same best chance of success with IVF would be about 50% live born birth rate.
When it comes to fertility treatments in, we'll say, Europe, this is something that people have been asking for a long time because of the prohibitive cost of this to people get pregnant. So when it comes to that, how do we do in Ireland in relation to fertility treatments?
This is a damning statistic. So when they look at the 43 kind of countries around Europe and what they offer in terms of publicly funded fertility services, we came 40 out of 43. Wow. And 3 countries were worse than us, and that is Ukraine, Belarus and Turkey.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was time. It was definitely time.
And when it comes, a lot of people be looking at the criteria for this and saying, well, that's actually quite stringent. It's going to rule a lot of people out. How does it compare to other countries when it comes to publicly funded?
Unfortunately, for a lot of the countries on that list, there are these hindrances, let's say, in terms of BMI, age, it might be like previous children, whatever. As those services grow, you would expect the criteria to drop off and there be a bigger catchment. So I suppose what's being done now makes a bit of sense. They have a limited amount of budget for this period of time and they're trying to get in those with the best chances of success as quickly as possible, because we've been waiting. We've been waiting years, you know.
And that's what's been set aside from the budget for it, and then they're talking about moving that to about 30 million from next year. And you'd hope with that there'll be further expansion and scope. There have been previously calls for, you know, even egg fertility freezing to be part of the kind of wider
But it's exclusionary for donor services. So we'll say LGBTI plus community wouldn't be included in this because
I know, unfortunately, that is a disappointing one, because it's a huge and normal part of fertility services is donor sperm, whether it's LGBT or even it's like couples, you know, for egg and sperm donation. So hopefully that does come in, but
we'll hope to expand it.
But
it's a good first step.
It's a great first step.
We'd love to hear from you this morning, because obviously this is, and Laura Hackett, who is an IVF fertility specialist. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. 10-week-old twins that she's got to go into as well. Absolutely amazing, so amazing. We'd love to hear from you this morning, because this is something that people have been asking for a very long time. Just a little bit of help. What do you make of the conditions that come with this as well? BMI issues, we don't know what it is yet, and up to 41 years of age. 0896 111 111. Now, Andrea, there is another story that's in the news that has to do, like, are we in James Bond territory? Is Sean Connery about to burst out of the place and find gold fingers, gold bullions? What's happening with gold in Ireland?
Inquiries were made yesterday. This is after the far-right National Party leader Justin Barrett had claimed that gold bars and literally chunks, as you described them, James Bond gold bars worth about €400,000 were allegedly stolen from its vault. Now, the Gardaí had made inquiries into this, and we've since learned that they have identified a large amount of gold reserves. They're satisfied that they're in a secure location. They can't be, they can only be accessed appropriately, and they can't be accessed without, I suppose, verification or notification of withdrawal or transfer while this investigation of these inquiries take place. So the Gardaí are aware of it. Detectives say the gold is safe and sound as well.
Yeah, they're not sure whether a crime has been committed.
They're not exactly. They're not. But they need to make. That's what the further.
Someone said it's my gold, and someone else has said it's my gold.
Yeah.
But now we know they've notified people that there's 400 million.
Yeah, well, that's why they're not going to. That's why they.
400,000.
That's why the location, I suppose, of the location of the gold can't be publicly, or isn't being certainly publicly identified.
I have never heard of a political party having that much gold in their hidden away in
you
their
had some
coffers.
questions about that.
Yeah,
gold reserves.
Whether it's in surely you'd have to declare that to SIPO.
Well, you would absolutely
you have to declare your lunches practically to SIPO, let alone.
Yeah, and as we've learned in recent weeks, there's going to be a lot more information around further declarations from those in receipt of public funding and all of that. But yeah, look, it is very unusual. It hasn't happened before, certainly to the best of my knowledge, with any political party.
Do you happen to have gold bars at home? Please do get in contact with us here in Ireland AM 0896 111 111. So bizarre.
So weird.
So this is on the front pages today. Gold bars. Have they been stolen?
Gold reserves. The gold was only resting in
my vault.
Speaking of, have you hidden funds?
I don't.
Runaway money. Do you have runaway money?
Yes, the runaway money is a fantastic story that's out there today. You know those little secret Revolut vaults that you might have? Yeah. Well, what we found out today is that 1 in 10, about 13% of couples in relationships have a bank or a savings account that their other partner isn't aware of, and it's basically their running away money. They're hidden funds.
That was a thing that everyone always had. That I remember everyone like, do you have your running away money? Like around my mother's generation, because they always had to have.
No, it's still very much a percentage of.
Some of them are huge. Like 15% is more than 50 grand.
14% of men. There's more men than women who have the secret stash of running away money. Now, it's by about 1%, but it's still 14% of men have a secret... I think it's those little vaults in Revolut. That's where the gold vault.
Not the gold vault.
Different kind of vault. But the main reasons are it's to do with giving people a greater sense of security, basically. That's why people have it. Do you have a hidden vault of money?
It's not a hidden vault of money.
You're hesitating?
We don't have a joint bank account.
No, we don't have one.
We don't have a joint bank account. So
that's much less of a thing now as well, I think. You know, our parents' generation, they might have had a shared bank account. I feel like it's less of a thing. But I'm definitely going to check your drawer.
For 28% of people who said that they do have separate, for couples that do have these hidden accounts, one of the main factors and reasons is because they believe their partner isn't good with money.
Okay, so it's a trust. It's not necessarily I'm going to run away from you, but I don't trust you to.
It's trust. It's a trust factor, and it's also a I want to get out of jail fund.
Yeah. He's got more money than I thought, the little pup. Okay, come here to me. Running away money. Do you have it 0896 111 111, or do you not trust your partner with money? I'm like, I'm not going to let them know about that in the joint account. As always, Andrea Gilligan from News Talk. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. Now, coming up, we're going to be discussing the cost of concert tickets after Taylor Swift fans were left devastated last week when normal tickets seem to be 370 quid. We'll be talking to you very shortly on Ireland AM.
Now, with tickets on sale for Taylor Swift last week and Coldplay today, that's a reminder, many people have been digging deep into their wallets in the hopes of obtaining a place at these gigs.
Gigs that they think are going to sell out, and it turns out they haven't sold out. Journalist Ellie Donnelly from the Business Post is with us discussing what drives concert ticket prices sky high. Ellie, it's lovely to have you here. So there's a big question, or is it just why are concert tickets in this country so high, and are they way higher in comparison to other European countries?
Firstly, thank you for having me on. There's a lot of factors that go into the price of concert tickets. I mean, the production themselves for the big gigs, the Taylor Swifts, the Coldplay, is huge. You're talking about promoters, you're talking about insurance costs, you're talking about like their staff. And the venue rental could be a couple €100,000, you know, depending on the size of the venue. So there's all these factors. For a big artist, you're talking about their lighting, sound technicians, engineers. You're talking about, say, they might have backing dancers, hair and makeup, costume design. There's a phenomenal amount of people involved in the production of a large gig. Last year, actually, I talked to Peter McKenna, the stadium director of Croke Park, just ahead of the Garth Brooks concerts. Yeah. And he was saying that in Croke Park, say, typically they employ 60 people full-time. That's in accounts and that's in the GAA Museum. And then in comparison, for the Garth Brooks concerts, each night there was 2,500 people involved approximately. And that's guards, it's wait staff, it's the ambulance, it is, you know, stewards, security, cleaning. So it's huge, huge production.
So ticket prices are basically taking all of this into account. But now, I do feel like a lot of people are travelling for these gigs. Like, they might find that the ticket prices in Ireland are more expensive than, let's say, Hamburg or Paris, Cardiff. So people
naming all her Beyonce.
I'm naming all the because I would travel, because you might be able to get a ticket and then your accommodation or your flight, at least for what a ticket price in Ireland might be. Like, is that true? It's a common belief that ticket prices are more expensive in Ireland.
It is very much a common belief, but actually The Independent last year did a survey of kind of all of the big concerts that were taking place around Europe last year, and they found that there wasn't a massive differentiation between Dublin and, say, other main European cities. And then I guess from the promoter's point of view or the artist's point of view, you have to do the calculation. Say with Taylor Swift, she's doing 6 nights in Wembley, where the capacity is 90,000, and then she's doing 3 nights in the Viva, where it's 55,000. There has to be the maths done of, you know, where is the bigger margin going to be made here? And that's something they'll be looking at as well. But I mean, there's other festivals then as well. Like, ticket prices in general have gone up quite a lot over the years. Yeah, massively.
So are places like Ticketmaster trying to recoup costs from COVID and going to, no, we're just going to hike up ticket prices?
See, Ticketmaster, they just charge their service fee, and, you know, they are the main platform here, but they have to agree the service fee with either the promoter or the artist, and that'll be based on, they say, the size of the concert that's taking place and also the cost of them in organising the ticket sales.
I know someone who put on a gig and the service fee for Ticketmaster was €7.50, and they didn't agree. They just put that on. It was €7.50 for ridiculous. Someone buying something, for them doing nothing.
And it just means as well, you're thinking, oh, I'm just going to spend €60 on that ticket. That's grand. Suddenly you're spending nearly €70, and I know it's an extra tenner, but then if you take in accommodation, if you take in the few drinks, it's a very expensive night out at times.
Are insurance costs something to factor in? Like, is there a difference with the insurance we might pay in Ireland compared to, let's say, up north or in another city in Europe?
Absolutely. And we know that earlier this year, Peter Aiken, the music promoter, came out and criticised insurance costs. He said that there's a substantial difference and that also Ireland was potentially losing out on attracting major artists because of insurance costs. Now, he pointed to, you know, the sector had recovered well since COVID-19. He pointed to the sales of Garth Brooks tickets. But he said that when he put on Ed Sheeran, it cost €1,500 to insure in Belfast, and the same gig just 4 days early in Páirc Uí Chaoimh cost €65,000 to insure. That's great. I know there's difference in capacity size. That's a huge difference.
Is that because of our compensation? Like, we don't know. We still have Oireachtas committees trying to get to the heart of the matter with these insurers, right?
He said he believes it's because there's this claims culture still exists in Ireland, which is pushing up the cost of public liability. And the Alliance for Insurance Reform have also said that Ireland is potentially missing out on major artists because of the cost of insurance.
And now we touched slightly on the cost of living and just how everything is just getting so much more expensive, including ticket prices. But is there still an appetite for these events, you know, giving the cost of living going up and up and up?
I think there is definitely. I mean, we saw Garth Brooks sold out 5 nights. Probably could have sold out 10 nights. Such as the excitement and the demand. Taylor Swift, you know, the lower price tickets were sold out within minutes.
Yeah, but 500,000 people registered for Taylor Swift for 150,000 places. She's not sold out because when I went on,
there was still
370 was the lowest ticket prices that was there for hours and hours. And then just a few hours later, lo and behold, €80 tickets were released on the same or even closer to the stage than some people who had bought €370. So there's an issue there.
Yeah, absolutely. And
like there's something going on.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. You know, Ticketmaster have come out and said there was no issues with their queuing. I really don't know what happened there. That was there extra tickets released? I don't know what it was. It was
well, the extra tickets were released around 5. So some people who are further back have paid €370 for a ticket, and then people waited later on because obviously they didn't sell out, and they were like, "Oh, look, there's €80 tickets available now." Like
and
that's not right.
And the prices
and it's
always
very
seem
frustrating
to drop.
for people.
Yeah,
if you're like a parent with 2 or 3 kids wanting to go to Taylor Swift, it's a very, very expensive night, and it's very frustrating to see that happen.
Now, let's talk Coldplay because their pre-sale goes live this morning at 10. That's a reminder again for everyone else that they're offering a limited number of €20 Infinity tickets. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's going to work.
Yes, these Infinity tickets sound really good. Coldplay have said that they want all their fans, regardless of your income, to enjoy their concert. So the Infinity tickets, they're limited to 2 tickets per person. You have to buy 2 tickets, you can't buy 1. And you will be sitting next to the person that, you know, the ticket are together, but it could be anywhere in the stadium.
So it's just extra on top of the actual ticket price?
It's just €20
no,
tickets.
It's just €20.
Oh, €20 tickets.
Yeah,
see, so the artist does have a little bit of a say.
Yeah. So it's potluck. You could have the best seat in the house or the worst seat, but 20 quid.
You know, sounded them. That sounded
them. From the Business Post, Ellie Donnelly, thank you so much
no
for joining
problem.
us
Thanks
this morning.
for having
me. We'd love to hear from you about these concert tickets because I know an awful lot of people were heartbroken. 0896 111 111. We would love to hear from you. Still to come this morning, Love Island's Chris Taylor tells us how he nabbed a role in the Barbie movie.
Lots things are looking a little peachy in the kitchen. Stay with us.
It's time now to take a look at this morning's papers. We'll start with the Irish Times. Its headline, Climate Watchdog urges coalition to act. The Climate Change Advisory Council has said Ireland will not meet its legally binding climate targets unless actions are taken immediately.
Along a similar story, the Examiner leads with raised car tax to meet green targets. Higher taxes for diesel and petrol cars and parking levies in workplaces are needed to cut emissions, says the Climate Change Advisory Council.
No records are kept of missing foster children is the top story on the Daily Mail today. TUSLA has been accused of a dereliction of duty after confirming it does not collect data on the number of children who go missing from foster care.
The Sun leads with golden plunder. The story we're talking about with Andrea Gardaí have launched a probe after the leader of the far-right National Party, Justin Barrett, claimed gold bars worth 400 grand were stolen from a vault in Dublin yesterday.
The Mirror also talks about this story and it says gold case. It emerged yesterday that officers had located the alleged stolen quantity of gold. Yes, this is a real story, and are trying to establish if indeed a crime was committed.
Who doesn't have a few gold bars lying around just for emergencies? The Star leads with kidnapped, tortured, beaten and slashed. A Garda raid stopped a gangland killing by associates of a major West Dublin drug dealer known as The Family. The victim was brought to a Dublin hospital where he remains being treated for his injuries.
The Herald also covers this story with man's machete torture nightmare. The victim was abducted from his West Dublin home and was missing for several hours before he was found in a caravan miles from his home.
State to pay the full cost of IVF for women up to age 40. That's the front page of the Irish Independent. The state will pay for a full cycle of IVF treatment for couples trying to conceive from September. Couples who do not have children and where the woman is under 41 years of age and meets certain body mass index criteria will be eligible for the scheme.
And this morning we've gotten some texts on that, and the thing is to say that this is just kind of a pilot scheme. They've been asking for this for years and years. It's a very strict criteria at the very start.
Yeah.
But there are, like Julie says, I think the free IVF is a great initiative, but only the start of a much needed system. I'm single. Why can't we extend this programme to other single women like myself? It needs to be more inclusive. And that is the hope, by the way, Julie. It's just at the very start to get this thing off the ground, because at the minute it is kind of the basic IVF, if that's what you call it, that they're going to do
the entry level, not to put it glibly, but the entry level and more money towards next week.
It is a start. They're not trying. Like, we can't just sit here going, well, they're getting it, why can't? Hopefully at some stage it will be available to everybody. That's the hope.
We have a text in from Nicola, who's gone through the IVF experience. She says, this is amazing news for couples. Myself and my partner have 2 beautiful babies through IVF. The financial cost is a big factor and we were lucky to be able to afford it. So I'm happy more help is now being offered.
We've also been talking on the show today and yesterday about crime in Dublin, whether Dublin is a safe place to be and our other cities are a safe place to be, and a lot of you getting in touch about that. Kerry says we need a new law for 13 to 16-year-olds who are terrorising the country. They're the groups running wild. Because of their age, they can get away with whatever and there's no consequence. It's such a hard 100%. Thing to deal with, though, isn't it? Because, like, you hear a 14-year-old has been arrested and you think, right, someone's been arrested, they did an awful thing, but they're 14. Your life shouldn't be over at 14.
And I know with this exact cohort, because I had an experience yesterday, I was racially abused on the Lewis, this was on the Red Line. And the thing is, like, the exact group of people were jumping into everyone's faces, like, they just feel like they can run the city. And it is that exact cohort that think they can go around terrorising people in Dublin and other cities, of course.
So hold on, so you're there and they're kind of going, right, we're going onto this carriage. We're going to pick everyone out and we're going to...
Well, no, I was the only one on the carriage. And there was 5 of them. No, because this
You were
carriage,
the only one there?
Yeah, but now I got on at the first stop outside the 3 Arena and now it was a lot of racial abuse, but of course they try to get a reaction out of people. This is their goal, and if you feed into it, you get intimidated and who knows, you can be physically attacked. So of course you always ignore.
So you just have to sit there as one person on a carriage as they're shouting in your face.
It's the intimidation, and this is what leads to the physical violence, I feel. So a new law like this would be amazing for people that are scared to travel by themselves.
But it's again enforcing the law. Like, there should be someone on the Lewis. And I know they get on the Lewis every so often, you know, but they're not in every carriage. They probably can't be in every carriage, you know. But at the same time, like you're saying, if you react, that's when you get the rise and that's when it escalates.
Absolutely. We have a text in from Mary who says, I used to go to town for shows at night, but I won't go into Dublin now after 3 p.m. The streets aren't safe and neither is the public transport. There you go.
3 p.m. Very early on in the day. But there isn't that presence, there isn't that, you know, deterrent really for people.
You should be able to ring up a guard and go meet me at the next stop. That is so unbelievably wrong. Infuriating. And where are the consequences? And I get it, you don't want a child's life to be over, but why in God's name does a tow rag get to come up and say something like that to you? It's unbelievable. Where are the consequences and what are we doing? Oh my God, I'm furious. 089 611 111. We're going to have a little bit of a change of pace, will we? Will we calm us all down a little bit?
Something lighthearted.
Something lighthearted. Thank you, Katia. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to go with a reality star and Morgan Higgins' ex, Chris Taylor. He's going to be talking, moving into the world of acting and bringing his... Do you want some Kenergy? Do you feel like a bit of Kenergy?
I love a bit of Kenergy. Yeah, we need Kenergy.
Coming up on Ireland Day in. Talk to you in a minute.
Now, we'll be joined by Chris Taylor a little later, but for now, we have something sweet in the kitchen.
That's right, Paul Knapp is making vegan peach cobbler.
I thought I was the sweet bit, sorry.
Yes. You are the sweet bit. It's extra sweet.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So we're making a peach cobbler. So for those who might get a little bit confused, as I said there, it sits somewhere between kind of a crumble and somewhere between the pie. The pie's got the top and the bottom. The crumbles are lovely and crumbly, whereas this is kind of like a biscuit base. And it kind of has its roots in America. And what they say as well is kind of its name came from where it's either cobbled together or it kind of looks like that by a bumpy cobbly road and stuff like that. So, and again, it was like the shortage of ingredients and materials. So all of the ingredients is up on Island M's Facebook page as well as Virgin Media One's website. So what we're going to do first of all is into a pan, I'm just going to put in, there's about 2 or 3 teaspoons of lemon juice going in there, and there's 50 grams of sugar into this, OK? All right, in that goes. And what we're going to do then is we're going to put in there as well as just a little bit of spice. So I've got about 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg and cinnamon goes in there as well, right? The same quantities of that. And all we're going to do is I just want to kind of melt down the sugar just to kind of dissolve it, because what we're going to do is we're going to add into there our peaches, all right? So I've got 600 grams or about 6 peaches, and all I've done is I stoned them and then I've just sliced them up, and I'm going to pop those in there as well. Okay. All right.
Now, my first problem always with cooking is that you'll hear the sizzling straight away because I make it way too hot. The pan is always way too hot. What sort of heat would you recommend?
This is just on a really low heat because we're not actually cooking this. The oven's going to bake these, okay? The oven's going to cook these like you would do, say, like with a traditional kind of a crumble or a pie.
Yeah.
But all I'm doing is I'm just coating these in kind of like the spices. And again, what we're going to put in there is a tablespoon of corn flour. So what we want to do is we want this, as it cooks, to get all the juices start to extract and all the flavours start to mix together. And what that corn flour will do is that corn flour will thicken this. So it'll create that kind of like a syrup, you know what I mean? So you get this kind of, like this lovely kind of peachy, sweet kind of cinnamon and nutmeg syrup. So all we do is we just give this a good stir. We just get all those peaches coated in. We're not doing any cooking in this pan, really. The only thing we're doing is just melting the sugar into the lemon juice as such, do you know what I mean? Just to dissolve it so it's not too crunchy.
Are peaches in this season?
Peaches just coming into season. They will be just coming into season. But if you think of this kind of like, think of this as like a crumble. So you can actually, I'll just leave that there just doing its thing. You can actually leave, you can actually use kind of any kind of soft fruit. So you could use like as the apples come into season next month, the apples and berries, you can use peaches, you can use strawberry, you can use whatever you want. You could have used raspberry, say, in the last couple of months. So we'll just leave that there. That's not cooking, it's just getting itself coated. So the cobbler mix, 125 grams of plain flour into a bowl. There's 100 grams of sugar goes in there as well, OK? And we need something to make this rise, because it's slightly like a kind of a biscuit, kind of a cookie batter, is there's just a teaspoon of baking powder goes in there as well. And I'm putting in there as well is about, again, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon goes in that. So that's our dry ingredients, OK? So we put our dry ingredients in here, and we're just going to bring this all together, all right? So you can just give it a little mix up, and that's that. So what we do is we've got dry and we've got our wet, all right? And then we put our wet stuff into our dry stuff, and we get a lovely, wonderful cookie batter.
Lovely.
All right? So we try and make this as simple as possible. It has to be simple because I can remember it and I can cook it.
Yeah. And when you say a vegan peach cobbler, are you leaving anything in particular out? Because, like, when you make a cobbler or a crumble, it's pretty easy to make a vegan.
Normally it'd be butter-based. Yeah, there's lots of food that lends itself really, really simple. So if you want to be cool and market, you can just stick the V word in front of it. You know what I mean? My plant-based peaches that I'm using as well. So what we're doing is we're switching out the regular butter for like a dairy-free butter. So you can buy like the blocks of plant-based butter. Absolutely, yeah.
And yeah, of course, there's no eggs needed in this recipe as well.
No,
so
there certain foods lend themselves really, really simply and really easy. There's an easy transition to switch over. Do you know what I mean? It's just by a couple of things like the ice cream. It's dairy-free, so it's a vegan ice cream.
Lovely.
And this is a plant-free butter, a dairy-free butter, should we say?
And they've gotten so much better as well. The dairy-free
ice cream. Yeah.
This is actually a really, really good ice cream. So what we're doing there is we're just into here. I've got is a teaspoon of vanilla bean paste, and I've got about a tablespoon of vanilla milk. Okay. And what I'm doing is just going to stir that into my wet stuff. Now this is ready to add into this, and all we do is we just literally pour that into there like so, and then all we need to do is we just need to bring this all together, and this then literally just creates your batter for your kind of your cobbler mix. Okay. So this literally just comes together in seconds. It doesn't take long at all. And what you get then is like your cookie dough. Whereas with your cookie dough, you'd probably set this into the fridge and you'd leave it in the fridge for a little bit. With this, because it's got like a baking powder, a raising agent, what we want to do is we want to make sure that this gets used kind of as quickly as possible, OK?
Do you know what I like about this method? Like, it's quite manual. I feel like when you bring in a lot of, like, instruments in the kitchen, it makes life more complicated, especially if someone isn't used to, you know, baking. So I'm like, OK, I've got 2 or 3 bowls, I've got 1 spoon, I could do this.
Preparation is really key with cooking. It's like the fire brigade, like we prepare for everything, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we're always preparing. Whereas in the fire service, our menu is really extensive because it could be anything from a cat up a tree to a major explosion. Whereas with a restaurant, you have got a menu, but it's way, way, way narrower, do you know what I mean? But preparation is still the key, having everything weighed out and all your bits and pieces. So all we do is into a dish, we put in there our peaches that have got the syrup covered into them, and then we're just going to take our mix, and again, it can just be sort of slapdash Just chuck it on there because, like cookies, you know, when you put like a cookie ball on a thing and it just spreads out, that's going to do itself. That's going to do that itself.
And will they just join together then?
They will join together. They might leave little open little spaces where the syrup will come up through it and stuff like that. It's kind of it's never going to be the same twice. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you put a lid on it, it's going to look the same.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you don't know how it's going to react to how much juice is in those fruits because they're all individuals. All right. So again, you just chuck this on, and again, this is kind of slapdash, which again, like certain styles of cooking suit people, and slapdash really suits me. Do you know what I mean? Where you can just chuck that on like that, and again, the more rustic, the better. Oven preheated, 180, about gas mark 4, for around about 30 to 35 minutes. Okay, so that goes into the oven. And then here's the one that we always had prepared earlier. That is hot. So what we get, okay, is you get this golden...
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Yeah. So again, it's kind of like you said there, it spreads itself out. There are a few little pockets here where it started to come up. You've got this lovely kind of peach juices that are in there, okay? And then all we do is we get ourselves a bowl. Careful, because it is actually really, really hot.
OK, so if I burn myself, I'm blaming you.
And all we do then is we just take a piece of this cobbler, like so.
It's so crispy on top.
Yep, so you get this lovely crispiness. And then with our dairy-free ice cream.
Oh, my God.
And you can't go wrong with ice cream, really, can you?
No, of any kind. Oh, my God, that's amazing.
That's delicious. It's like breaking like a really lovely, warm, giant cookie that you have, and then on top
underneath
of this
you've
filling.
got those peaches, yeah.
Peaches are lovely and sweet, but lovely. Little hint of cinnamon without being too much as well. I'm not a huge fan of cinnamon, but this is really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like you can use the ice cream to like cool it down a little bit.
And that's where you get that combination or that contrast. You get that contrast of the heat, and then you get, oh, that's cooking there, and then you get the contrast of that lovely cool, and then those mixes of those flavours, like you say. There is cinnamon in there, but it doesn't kind of like slap you in the face.
Yeah.
It's just a subtle undertone of cinnamon, which is nice.
It doesn't take over.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely amazing.
Thanks very much.
And a really easy one to try at home with the kids as well over the summer, because they can literally just fire it in and it all kind of comes together and works out. Just thanks a million. Vegan peach cobbler, but the big V.
Nice to meet you.
Still to come, Derek is in Cork ahead of their Pride celebrations.
And Love Island star Chris Taylor chats about his Hollywood debut. Stay with us. See you in 3. Our next guest recently swapped the Love Island villa for Barbie Land when he made a cameo appearance in the highly anticipated movie at Margot Robbie's request.
Every Love Islander left rotten going, why am I in
He's
Barbie?
gone Hollywood on us now.
How did he get to do that? Joining us now to discuss the whirlwind experience is social media star and charmer Chris Taylor. Good morning, Chris. How are you doing?
Morning, all. Morning, Island.
It is
Great,
lovely to have you here, Chris. How in God's name, because every other Love Islander must be like, come here to me, how did you do, I want to do this. How did you end up getting a cameo in Barbie the movie?
I don't really know how appropriate the story is for morning television, but I'm going to tell you anyway.
Go for it.
If anyone spits a cereal out, it's not my fault. You're watching, all right? You've been warned. So basically, me and the lads came out of the villa, obviously about 4 years ago or something like that. And a few months after that, we got invited to an after party for a premiere. I think it was Birds of Prey. So essentially, Margot watches Love Island and she really likes it. So she knew who we was and invited us to this after party, which is just mad in the first place. We've gone down to this after party and she's like really like buzzing to see us and that, which again, still very bizarre. Anyway, we're at the after party, chat, loads of fun. That's kind of finishing. So she says to us, oh, do you want to come to the after party? So we went to that, which was at a hotel, big hotel, loads of people there. It wasn't as weird as it potentially sounds. And basically we were chatting there. I've gone outside for a breath of fresh air. And so I'm outside and then Margot comes out and there's obviously like loads of other people there. But I'm kind of like one-on-one with Margot at this point. And I'm kind of having a mild panic attack and thinking like, what do you even say in these in these situations? So yeah, slightly panicked and just decided to start telling her about my mate who's got a micro penis, which we had a bit of a. She was quite interested in it, to be fair. You know, it's not like every day that you hear about micropeni. So
Micro
we
pigs.
had a nice chat about micropenises.
Micro pigs, yes.
Micropeni? I don't know.
No.
So how do you go from talking about your friend's micro-penis to making it on a Hollywood movie set. Like, what was the in-between?
Oh, right, yeah, I can see where the confusion is. I need to explain that bit. I actually don't really know, to be honest. Like, I must have made some kind of impression, good or bad. But like 18 months later, I get an email from Warner Brothers saying, do you want to do a self-tape for the new Barbie film? And I said, hell yeah, I'll do that. I was fully convinced the whole thing was a prank. So I just did it anyway. So I did the self-tape, sent it off. And then a couple of months later, I found out that I got it, which was amazing. And then, yeah, I went down to Warner Brothers in Watford, not in Hollywood anymore. It's quite disappointing. I did want to go to LA, but yeah, it was just in Watford. So I went down there, and the whole way, I thought it was a joke. I thought there was going to be some clever YouTuber there, the other side, like, you idiot. But there wasn't. As soon as I got there, I saw Ryan Gosling walk past my car, and I thought,
oh my goodness.
Oh, this is real then. And that's when I got really scared.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if there's a lot of people at home. As you said, you gave the warning. But you're talking about Margot Robbie, Ryan Gosling, and everything. I'm going, how is your friend knowing that you've gone, how are you, Margot? Do you want me to tell you about my friend who has a very small member? And now you're telling everyone this story. Is he still your friend, Chris? Because he's famous.
Yeah, I mean, he's still anonymous, but yeah, he's one of my best mates. I don't want to say too much because if people see this who know him, like the more I give away, the more obvious of who it is.
Say nothing.
In my friendship group, and I feel like that's slightly unfair.
Say nothing.
But he loves it because Margot Robbie has seen his penis. Like,
oh,
do you want anything more out of life than
you
that?
showed her a picture.
I didn't mention that, did I not? Yeah.
You showed her a
drunk. We were talking about penises. I showed her a picture.
I cannot believe. Okay,
I wonder why she remembered you.
Yeah, it's quite hard to forget that, isn't it?
Yeah, second degree
flashing. Not a picture of his face. He's still anonymous. Just so everyone knows.
Okay. We'll leave him anonymous. But speaking of friends, how did they react to this? I mean, you had to keep this a secret for so long. Was there anyone that you actually let in on this?
Yeah, just the guy with the microphone. No, I obviously told a few people. I told my close mates. I obviously told my family. But the thing is, what you realise when you do this kind of thing, which I didn't at the time, obviously complete novice, never had any acting experience or whatever. I did the scene and I was like, sick. I'm in the Barbie film. And then about a week later, I was like, oh, they could cut me out quite easily. I'm not like integral to the storyline or anything. So then I decided not to tell too many people because then, like, obviously the more people I tell, the more embarrassing it would be if they cut me out. And I only found out that I hadn't been cut when I got invited to the premiere. So I imagine they don't invite you to the premiere if you've been cut because that would be super embarrassing.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, I didn't tell that many people, although it kind of started getting out towards, as we got close to the release date, like the people that I'd told started telling other people and stuff, which wasn't ideal. I'm sat there like, guys, what if it doesn't happen? Then I've got to deal with it. I've got to deal with the ramifications of it.
And you are one of the Kens in the Barbie movie. So you and Ryan Gosling, you're on the same level now. And did you get to speak to him? Because like, look at the hair. Like, you've got this sort of same hair thing going on. Did you get to chat to him at all?
To my eternal shame, I had opportunities, but I didn't speak to him because I bottled it. I found it really easy to speak to everybody else, like Margot, Shooty Gatwa, like everybody else that I was on set with. Fine, Will Ferrell, like I spoke to them, and I love Will Ferrell. But Ryan Gosling is just like a different level. He's so cool and he's so nice. I've seen him speak to other people, and I know that he would be the loveliest man to speak to ever. But look at my chin in that. But I don't know. There's something about him. I just didn't want to ruin the mirage that is Ryan Gosling to me because he's like one of my favourite actors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
I get it.
Well, they do
but
say
yeah,
don't meet your
essentially,
heroes,
in a sentence, I bottled it.
Yeah.
I get it. I totally get it.
That is totally fair that someone like Ryan Gosling would starstruck you. But, I mean, you've gone full Hollywood on everyone now. And we all know you from your 2019 stunt on Love Island, which was, you know, probably one of the greatest seasons. What have your friends got to say about this? I mean, do you still keep in touch? We saw Molly May and Tommy got engaged. Like,
still in touch with a fair few people. I saw Molly and Tommy at Soccer Aid recently. So that was nice to catch up with them. Obviously, I still live with Michael. There I am. Memories.
So it's all still cordial?
Sorry?
It's all still quite cordial.
With Harley? Or with everyone else?
No, with Michael.
Oh, right. Yeah, fine. We live together still. I still speak to Jordan and Daddy who are on the show. I saw Fran yesterday who I walked into the villa with. She's close by. So yeah, it's all good. Still loads of friendships.
Yeah.
Do you still have to watch it? Because people are always asking you about it. Or are you like, I'm done now, lads?
I like to watch it. I still think it's a good show. I like the drama.
Who are you going for then?
I probably don't have to.
Who are you going for?
No one's got a gun to my head. It's a tough one. It's either Whitney and Locken, because I really like Whitney. I think she'd be like a good mate. She'll just tell you. Like, if you look ugly on a certain day, she'll just tell you. And sometimes you need to hear that because you need to go sort yourself out. Do you know what I mean? And also Ty and... Oh, no, I forgot her name.
Ty and Ella.
Ty and Ella.
Yeah. Oh, Ty's some character.
Because I think Ty's been on a journey, hasn't he? He's gone from F-boy to not F-boy. Yeah. Which has been nice to see.
Keeping it nice and clean for us this morning. But Chris, I just want to ask, now that you have done this, regardless of you weren't in the cutting room floor, you made it into one of the biggest opening films, certainly by a female director, a huge opening, one of the biggest openings of recent times. Are you gonna knock on with the old acting? Like, did you use your contacts there and are you going ready to self-tape? Sure, I've got the charm, I can do this.
Yeah, I'm basically just I'm gonna cameo in every single Margot Robbie film from here on in, I reckon. Until
the end of time. Do you know what? You'll make a pretty penny out of that. She's a busy woman.
I'm just gonna have one line in every film. No, like I got some coaching for the film because I wanted to know what on earth would be going on the day, so I was prepped for it. Still wasn't prepared mentally or physically or emotionally, but I did that and I enjoyed it. I've got an acting coach now that I'm going to go start seeing sort of like a couple of times a week, and if anything comes of it, great. But also it ties into everything else that I do in terms of like presenting radio, videos, all that stuff anyway.
Chris,
so it's like a no-brainer for me.
We certainly look forward to seeing more of your face. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
And your friend's face one of the days, maybe. If we get to
never
see...
the face. Never the face. Only the penis.
Our mobile flasher, Chris Taylor, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
That's enough penis talk, I think.
You flashed Margot Robbie with a mobile phone.
OK. Well, I think it's time for a break now.
Go on, sure.
Yeah, I think it's up next. Derek finds out how Cork is celebrating Pride. See you in 3. Now, ahead of the most colourful week of the year, Derek is on a day trip to Cork.
Derek, what are you up to?
Yes, good morning, team. Welcome down here to the cosy setting of the Sanctuary in the Riverlea Hotel in the heart of Cork City Centre. Of course, Cork Pride kicking off this weekend. It's a fun-filled festival for all the family. It's a tongue twister and a half. Joining us now are Clyde Davis, who's chairperson of Cork Pride, as well as Evan Murphy with the Cork Frontrunners. And Clyde, we'll kick off with you. Up and running 18 years. Can't believe it.
It's amazing. It's amazing that we've gone from strength to strength every single year, and we're delighted to welcome people down to Cork. this weekend for the start of the festival.
And this year, Clive, bigger and better than ever before.
We try to go...
You promised me that. You said, Derek, if you're coming, it's got to be big.
We try to improve every single year, you know, and we do our best with the people we have to make it an event for everybody in the family.
And what have you got going on now this for the week, really, because it is a week-long festival?
It's a week-long festival, so we start off this Sunday. We're going all around the county to the various different towns to welcome people from all parts of rural parts of Cork.
And I love that, because you're getting into local communities, aren't you?
Yeah, because it's so important that, you know, being LGBT doesn't mean you have to come to a city. You should be able to live and work and exist in the town where you're reared and where you're born.
Yeah, so you're going to be flying the Pride flag in every little village across the county.
We can't wait.
They'll see you coming. What else have you got going on?
So on Saturday we have our Family Fun Day, which is in Fitzgerald's Park, who's just here beside us, and that's a day for all the family to come to. All our events are free, so there's no need for tickets, just come along. And then Sunday we have our parade starting in Grand Parade and then finishing up on the Port of Cork for our after party. We can't wait for
And the after party, I believe, is going to be mega. Who have you got lined up?
So we have Wild Youth playing at the after party. We can't wait for people to get to listen to Wild Youth.
And of course our very own Paul Ryder is going to be down here.
Paul Ryder is the host. Jennifer, we can't wait to have
the
Paul
hostess
around.
with the mostess.
Yes,
he won't let you down.
No,
He's good.
not at all. But hopefully he better not this year.
And hopefully we'll try and bring a bit of sunshine, which is great. Evan, you're with the Cork Front Runners, and in fact you're one of the founding members. How long are you up and running?
This will be our 5th year this year, so this September is our 5th anniversary.
And what made you start it up then?
Well, there was a need for, I suppose, a social scene outside of the pub scene, and I think a few people got together with the Gay Project and a few other stakeholders, and just kind of end up chatting about, you know, what they wanted to do, and we brought down someone from Dublin Front Runners to speak to us, and from there just blossomed into where we are now 5 years later.
You're running around the city and then running to the pub.
That's a pit stop.
You've expanded over the last couple of years. You've grown in numbers.
Yes, definitely. We started off with only, I think, about 12 or 15 people on the first night. We've over 100 members at the moment, maybe 30 people on average every evening that we go running twice a week. And we've also developed a space for people who don't really fit into that running space.
Yes, so you've got the 5K, you've got a 10K, but you've also got the brisk walkers.
Exactly, yeah. So they're 2 years old this January, I believe, and they are more of a kind of a social part of the group with us, but definitely a vital part of the group that we have.
And Evan, as a young gay man yourself, what's it like living and working here in Cork?
It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Your best Cork accent.
No, it's like, you know, Cork is vibrant. It's, you know, it's beautiful. It's lovely. You know, it's one of those cities where it's small enough to nimble around, but kind of be yourself, and you kind of know a lot of people. So it is one of those places where you can kind of develop your family.
Yeah, Clive, homosexuality was decriminalised back in 1993. We've come a long way, but still we've a long way to go.
Yeah, so this year we're celebrating 30 years proud. That's what our team is, and I suppose it's all about, you know, the celebrating, you know, the decriminalisation of homosexuality in 1993, and that's a big milestone. Imagine it was in 1993 when that happened. For us, I think it's also about the things that have to happen. Like, we need better trans healthcare. We need to protect the LGBT community and also become allies. I think your listeners and the people looking at this today, we all have this thing to learn ourselves, to be an ally for the LGBT community and get to know and understand what it is, you know. Like, we see people protesting against libraries at the minute. Like, it's we just need to inform ourselves.
What I love what you have at the Pride Festival as well, you have a lovely coming out evening.
Yeah, so our coming out evening, it's called Welcome to the Community, because everyone's story is so different, and it's about people who are coming out. They come to the event and they share their experience of coming out. And some people might say, oh, why are you dealing with that? Why are you dealing with that? Because every single person's story is unique. You know, and it's unique to them, and they need time to express it and say it.
By the way, can I commend you on this fantastic magazine, the biggest in Europe, I believe.
Yeah. This is the biggest magazine in Europe, yes.
I called it a brochure earlier.
No, it's a magazine.
It's not a brochure, it's a magazine.
It's a magazine. And also, I just want to say, before we go, is just a big thank you to Rory and to Sinead in this amazing venue.
Yeah,
you know,
and this is one of the host venues as well. Where can we find out more online, by the way?
CorkPride.com.
Can you say it in a Cork accent?
CorkPride.com.
CorkPride.com, boy. Lots of fun here right across the weekend, guys. Back to you in studio. CorkPride.com.
So, that was high pitch.
Yeah, you have to go higher if you do a Cork accent, boy.
We'll go once more. Let's have that again.
No, I know.
Please,
I am not doing.
Please.
CorkPride.com.
Only dogs
Never,
can hear
never
now.
make me do that again.
Still to come in the final hour. We are back. Sleep. I just have you toes off to
Do it all the Cork
dreamland.
Iceland. We round off the summer best reads from best authors Catherine Moore and Taylor Jenkins Reid.
So it's over on the catwalk after the week's country. See you after the break.
Hello, welcome back. Now, we've been talking about lots of things today, and one of the things earlier on was this new free round of IVF that's going to become available to people from September. There are certain criteria. Women have to be under the age of 41. They have to be below a certain BMI. Weight, we don't know exactly what that is. It has to be the first round. There's certain things, it hasn't all been revealed, but there's some messages in on this, Sean.
Yeah, Carol texting in saying IVF is such a roller coaster of a journey, so to have it funded takes some of the pressure off. We're 7 years into our journey with a beautiful baby boy and couldn't recommend the experience enough. It's great that more people are being afforded that opportunity. Congrats, Carol. That's delighted.
Congratulations, Carol. That's absolutely lovely.
We have one in from Sam. It's great that the government are finally funding IVF, but more inclusivity is definitely needed. As a member of the LGBT community, I feel like I've been left behind.
Absolutely.
You mentioned this is just sort of like the first initial launch of it.
Yes, the initial launch, and I know it does seem awful that it will be more kind of, because it's not dealing with donor eggs, it's not dealing with donor sperm and anything like that. They're hoping to broaden it out, but I know it does definitely feel at the start that people are left out, and I understand that, and hopefully they will change that. We were also talking to journalist Ellie Donnelly from the Business Post about concert tickets. Hi, everybody. 10 o'clock this morning, Coldplay, is it?
Yes.
10 o'clock this morning.
Set your alarms.
Dermot says, these ticket prices are outrageous. How can anyone outside of Dublin expect to pay for these tickets? Travel to the concert and then affordable accommodation. It is scandalous. And I was talking about this with my fella, and I was thinking, if the government, and I know it mightn't be fair, but if we could get like train drivers and bus drivers to kind of do a longer shift, to go, do you know what, we'll get some public transport on the roads for directly after these concerts.
But it's not that hard. I mean, it really should, that's the kind of thing that should be in place, obviously. If you have a special event on like that, they put them on for the All Ireland. If they can do it for the All Ireland, they can do it for
something like this.
Absolutely. Because Maeve, she makes a point here. No wonder we don't have as many big stars playing Croke Park anymore. With the price of insurance, we're driving away events and business from this country. But everything comes into the infrastructure, transport, everything comes into play.
Yeah, and it all becomes a big expense. We've also been talking about your own expenses and people having a runaway fund. This is a story that 13% of people have a secret fund they don't tell their partner about.
A runaway fund.
I know. Well, you're just in case money.
14% of men, 13% of women.
And some, I think, was it 12% of them? It was over 50 grand in this hidden account. Like, whatever about 50, whatever about a few quid. But we've got quite a few texts in on this. Sinead saying, myself and my husband have a joint account. We trust each other with everything and trust each other to make smart purchases. We're saving for a home. But if I found out he had a separate runaway account, I would run away forever and never come back. Taking the money from the husband and running away.
And we have an anonymous person here who's like, I do have a runaway fund, but I use it for things like going out with the girls and buying clothes. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
You do your thing. I'm sure everyone has that. Thank you so much for your messages this morning. We really do appreciate it. There's loads coming up in this hour. We're going to try to be able to get you to sleep. You're going to be wearing waistcoats. But up next, Ciara Kane will be reviewing the latest literary releases. We'll see you back here very shortly. Welcome back. Now it's time for our monthly book review. So if you're looking for something to enjoy while you are away, hopefully soaking up some sunshine, or you're in the rain in Ireland, you want a thriller, you want to learn something, we have got something for everyone.
Here with the latest reviews is our resident book guru, Ciara King. Ciara,
hi guys.
How are you?
Hello. It is lovely to have you here. We're going to start because we've got a re-release and we've got instructional books and we've got a thriller. So we're going to kick off with Cliodhna Moran.
Yeah.
Who we all know, like, she's one of these writers, like,
she's a feminist writer, and she's a columnist, and she's been very vocal about women's rights and whatnot over the last 15 to 20 years. And now she's taken on a new book, and it's called What About Men?
Okay.
And as you can imagine, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding the title of this book because there's a lot of men kind of coming out saying, well, why are you writing this book about men? And she explains it really well. She says, well, nobody else was. She was waiting around for a man to write this book. And then she said, oh, look, I'll just do it myself or whatever. And she would travel around to different schools in the UK chatting to young female teenagers and male teenagers. And she said one particular outing that she was on, it got hijacked by young men in the audience that were like, hi, it's really hard to be a young man right now, and can we talk about that? Because if you say the term straight white male nowadays, it isn't exactly received in a brilliant way.
No.
And that is because, well, the internet as well, and also 10,000 years of patriarchy and stuff like that. But she does tackle it, and it's really interesting because if you think about modern society and men, they're more likely to die by suicide, they're more likely to end up in homelessness, they suffer loneliness, they lose custody to their children, they die in wars, the list goes on. And women have had feminism to talk about women's rights and our bodies, and we're very good at that. We're really good at chatting about what it's like to be a woman, and we found the safe space to do so. And her point is, men, not so much.
Yeah, and so how has she kind of gone about that? Because there has been some criticism of it online that is, well, you know, it's not, it reflects a certain view of men that was already there, but not actually what the majority of men, you know, there is this impression out on Twitter of the, you know, I suppose young men involved in violence or young men being sexist or whatever it is, that maybe isn't broader.
Yeah, she starts right at a young age, and she says, like boys and girls are the same up until about age 7. And then, like, you know, boys and girls, they'll cry. But at 7 years of age, a boy will turn around and say, oh, it's girly to cry. So it starts at a really young age. So it starts really in the educational system. And there was things that I didn't realise, you know, about young lads or whatever, that when it comes to football, for example, that even if you're not into football, you have to fake it till you make it, and you have to pick a team to fit in. I don't know, is this the case?
Well, no, see, I've never followed football. I've never been that interested in it. But there was a little, like, everyone asks your team. It still goes on. You know, if you're chatting with a fella, they go, oh, who'd you support or whatever. And it's like, now I'm old enough to go out. No one. I don't really
and
care.
that's okay.
But when you're younger, it is a bit different. You're like, oh, Man
and
United.
Also, another thing she was saying as well is that, like, when a young man goes to school, that he has to kind of have a look around and see who could he beat in a fight.
Well, that is, that's
that blew my mind, because obviously that was nowhere near my mind when I was heading into secondary school. So that actually made me really sad. I was like, really, men have to think that way before, you know?
It's sort of interesting, like, it's sort of portrayed that way as, you know, oh, you have to almost go in and say, right, who could I beat up here? But it's not really that. It's just like, okay, how could I handle myself if someone else is aggressive towards me? Would be more my view of it.
But it's the fact that we don't have to go...
We don't have to do that at all.
Well, I do think that violence amongst young women is definitely increasing. It's something that we're seeing more in this world. But I suppose the question is, who is this book for? We're talking about a world where there's the increased influence of someone like an Andrew Tate.
Oh, my God.
And we're talking about, you know, women can talk about femininity and feminism, but men don't have any place to talk.
No, and men have tried. There has been movements before where men have tried to talk about this, and it's been hijacked by homophobia. So as soon as the man starts talking about his feelings, like, oh, you're gay, you know, and then men obviously just stop talking about it. So she discusses this in the book as well. But in terms of Jordan B. Peterson and Andrew Tate, the statistics that she writes about in the book are really, really scary. There isn't a school in the UK that hasn't had to deal with young men being influenced by Andrew Tate.
So who's it for?
It is for young men, and it's also for middle-aged men, and it's also for mothers who may have teenage boys. Like that was my honest take from it when I was reading it.
But just on that, on Andrew Tate and Jordan B. Peterson in particular, I did hear an interesting interview recently where obviously they have a lot of views that are incredibly sexist and dangerous views. Is probably the right word to use. But I heard an interview with someone who said, he read them, wasn't to do anything that, didn't care about all of that, but it was sort of a book about how to be an ambitious young man in a modern world for them, and that's what they were taking away from it rather than the other stuff, which is an interesting point of view, because if you are an ambitious young man, it's a much different world to what would have been there 20, 30 years ago, probably for the right reasons, but it can be a difficult space to try and figure out where you're going.
Yeah, I just think when she writes down all the different kind of thinkings and leanings of Jordan B. Peterson, and it's really, really scary. And Andrew Tate. But the whole point is, why are young men gravitating towards men like
to Andrew
these?
Carnegie, How to Make Friends and Influence People. Back to the 1930s. OK, so that is Cliodhna Moran's brand new book, What About Men? We're going to move on to our second book, and this is by an Irish writer, Megan Nolan. Her debut, Acts of Desperation, was in the ilk of the Sally Rooney and that sort of trinity sort of thing. What is this book about?
So this is pitched as a thriller, but it's kind of much more. It's much more about family dynamics, and it's set in the 90s in London, and it's about an Irish immigrant family called the Greens who moved to a housing estate to escape Ireland because of a lot of kind of family stuff that has happened. and a murder happens in the estate. So all eyes are on this particular family that very much keep to themselves and are very private, typical Irish family. And it centres around Carmel, who's one of the daughters of the Green family. And then there is a journalist called Tom, who's a young journalist, and he wants to get his hot story. This murder has happened, and he's hot on the trail, and it just involves a load of family dynamics. A lot of it's set in Watford between the 70s and the 90s as well. This is her second novel. It's very well written. Like, instantly when I started reading it, I was like, this is brilliant. As I said, thriller, I wouldn't really call it a thriller. It does have that particular thriller storyline. The cops are hot on the tail of whoever's murdered. It's pretty dark. A child has been murdered in an estate in London. But it's very much about how an Irish family is shaped, being an Irish immigrant family in the 90s in London, and all that goes with that.
So would you think of this as sort of a beach read? Or...
Yeah, well, like, yeah. It's one of those...
like, if you're a fan of a crime novel, you're going to get something out of it.
Yeah, but it's, as I said, no, it's not. I wouldn't pitch it as a crime novel.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
It's dark, it's depressing, it touches on topics of addiction and heartbreak, and it does it in a really raw and insightful and refreshing way. So it's a brilliant read. Like, this is her levelling up. This is her second book now, and she's a brilliant writer. I think she's incredible talent, and she's got this gift of writing about, like, really plain and kind of insightful things that Irish people, we don't talk about, and she writes about. And I saw that in her first book, Acts of Desperation, and I just found that really refreshing, if not a little depressing. But
yeah, that's a very Irish way of writing, isn't it?
Yeah,
refreshing but depressing. Our final book then is a re-release. Carrie Soto is back again.
It is. And look, we're heading into August now. People are still potentially going on holidays and sitting by the pool and sitting on the beach. This is Taylor Jenkins Reid. She wrote Daisy Jones and the Six and The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. And they were absolute page turners. Obviously, Daisy Jones and the Six went on to be a massive TV show there in the last year on Amazon Prime. And this is Carrie Soto is back. And if you're a fan of tennis, you might be into this if you're missing Wimbledon. I'm a huge fan of tennis, so is Muireann. And Muireann, you were not a fan of this book.
So this is basically Carrie Soto gets it. She drops out. She's the #1 in her game.
She's #1 in the world. She's won 20 Grand Slams. She's retired. And then she sees this young British tennis player coming up along the ranks as about to steal her title. And she's like, no, wait a second.
First of all, it's so unrealistic when it's a British tennis player. You're like,
I know, right?
I'm joking. Laura, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So she comes back out of retirement after 6 years. And she's a complicated character. Her dad is her manager. She fires him. They've got a complicated relationship. The crowd are kind of against her.
She's the bad girl at tennis.
She's kind of the bad girl at tennis. But also there's the whole kind of, side story of, like, when is it time to give up? When is it time to walk away from something? Like, if you look at Tom Brady at the minute, if you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, not that I'm saying they should walk away from the sport that has made them famous and what they love and all the rest, but literally when it comes down to what age you are and your body and your body dealing with the physicality of the sport that you're in. Like Serena Williams, she retired. Roger Federer, he retired. I'm still not okay about it. Took to the bed for about 3 weeks.
Taylor Jenkins Reid is a huge, Book Talk loves her. It is all Taylor Jenkins Reid. This didn't have the same impact as, we'll say, Evelyn Hugo did, nor Daisy Jones and the Six, which I absolutely loved.
Yeah.
I found this a bit boring, actually, and is just kind of painting by numbers.
So did you read Malibu Rising by any chance? I didn't. So Carrie Soto is a small character in Malibu Rising.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is a completely separate, different entity. I mean, I think that Taylor Jenkins, like, if I walked into the airport tomorrow morning and I was in a rush and I had to grab a book to go on holiday, I probably would grab a book with her name on it. Because I've read the likes of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, whatever. I do think that she has this kind of gift, again, of creating a page-turner. I don't think you have to be into tennis to like this book, or to get this book or whatever. Yeah. But you really didn't like it.
Maybe if you're into tennis, you won't like it in any way, shape,
or form. Well, there you go. Okay, that's interesting.
But at the same time, if you're picking up one, I would go with Evelyn Hugo. It's amazing.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Akira King, as always, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And if you're a lover of all things books, then be sure to tune into What's the Story. It's available on Virgin Media 3 and the Virgin Media Player right now.
Lots more still to come. Our gadget guru has the latest in tech sleeping products.
Plus, we've got women's waistcoats on the catwalk. Come back to us very shortly. On this beautiful day, perfect for our fashion item that we're highlighting, from Bella Hadid to Dua Lipa, everyone is wearing waistcoats this season.
Mandy Maher is here to show us how to style this summer must-have item. Good morning.
Good morning to you both. Hi.
And you're sporting it yourself, looking very chic.
I had a bit of a wardrobe, a mini fashion show for myself. I said, what have I got as a waistcoat for my wardrobe? But this is the look I went with this morning.
But it's kind of been amazing since the 1920s for that masculine tailoring, all the way back to Marlene Dietrich, when, you know, we were very defined roles, and now it's like anything goes. She was like, it's always been classic.
Always, and it's absolutely massive this season. And it's only starting to come into the shops now as well. Oh, yeah. So you'll be finding right through for the autumn winter. This is that masculine look, but giving the feminine twist to it now as well.
Gorgeous.
So where are we kicking off?
So we're heading this morning to the Athlone Town Centre this morning, and our first look, our full look, is from Zara. I just think this is absolutely beautiful, because sometimes waistcoats are known to be more traditionally for more formal wear.
Yeah.
But now you can obviously see you can wear an outfit like this to work or to more daytime events, which I absolutely love. It's a linen mixed waistcoat. It isn't the most friendliest when it comes to ironing, and that's the truth. As I said to the girls, don't sit, breathe or anything while they're showing this. But it is beautiful, and it looks well.
It really does. Zara are kind of knocking it out of the park this season, and Sarah's really highlighting how well this is, because with everything that's going on there, obviously with the linen mix, it's where it's catching there between the trousers and the waistcoat. Obviously, you can wear them as separates.
You can indeed, and that's what I love about the pieces that we're showing this morning. Everything can be worn with other pieces that you already have, which I think is the biggest thing people should remember when they're shopping. But this, as you said, it is the two-piece. You could easily add a belt with this, pop a blouse or whatever, or you could put something under the waistcoat itself. And Katja, you mentioned that earlier when we were chatting about waistcoats. You can easily pop a little T-shirt under this if you wanted to as well, but we left it quite simple this morning.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. What else?
What about the earrings?
And the earrings, absolutely unbelievable. I think Sarah kind of had a great laugh at me this morning when I went with these, but I wanted something as a statement and something with adding a bit of colour. And there's no doubt about it, these are a big talking point. And they are slightly or a little bit on the heavier side, but I love them for something statement. Aren't they fabulous?
Yeah, fabulous?
And they work well with the outfit. They're giving it something a little bit different, I think.
Sarah, are you going to be looking for compo after this? Your earlobes hanging down. Mandy, what have you done to me?
But she's still smiling. Thank you, Sarah.
Well, sticking to the same tones, we've got another thing in kind of that rusty orange tone.
Absolutely, and this is I love this. I just think the colour is absolutely superb, and they do have this in a few different colours as well. And similar to the last, the cream outfit, we went with the skirt version this time. So again, we have the waistcoat, but if you notice, we did put a little vest top underneath it, just for, again, you didn't need it because it's not too low of a waistcoat, which is quite nice, so it's not going to be over booby or busty on you as well.
Yeah, and again, they're separates, they're together, they're a suit, whatever you need for this, right?
Exactly, and that's exactly why we kept them together as well. We could have split them, but I just thought it would be a shame to, because I just love this. I love the flow on the skirt. It has pockets, it's very simple, and it's a style skirt like this would suit all shapes, which is very important as well.
We were only talking about our kilts in secondary school, but the maxi skirts are back in. You know, everyone, like, we could have kept our kilts and be rocking them out in this Grafton Street right now. Like,
I swear to God,
no one would bat an eyelid.
I tried this on, I was like, I feel like I'm with the skirt. I was just like...
It's because it reminds you of home, of course.
In Limerick, we wear the skirts really long, but I did really like the skirt. It's class.
And it's beautiful. And again, like that, you could rock this up with a beautiful black polo and a pair of boots for the winter. So it is something that you will bring into the next season as well, which is what I like.
Yeah, and the shoes that Jen has on today are
shoes,
fabulous.
Aren't they gorgeous? These are the block heel shoes. They're from Shoelace, which is also in the Athlone Town Centre. But I just think it completely finishes off this look as well. They're nice and they're actually really comfortable. They may not look it because they look high, but they're actually very, very comfortable to wear because of the platform as well, of course.
And we touch on the jewellery as well.
And then we just teamed up then with this beautiful set of bracelets again from Zara. Kept it quite simple, as you can see.
Beautiful, Jen. Thank you so much for that look. Great colour, and it'll be great with black trousers, flares, all that kind of stuff. Exactly what you're wearing today. That waistcoat would be amazing, actually.
We're not forgetting about the men this morning.
So we're not forgetting about the men this morning. We're actually heading to Tullamore to Guy Clothing, and I love Guy Clothing when it comes to menswear. And this literally was taken out of the box for today. Literally, it's just arrived in store. And of course, you can see the beautiful tweed in this beautiful waistcoat.
Beautiful.
Isn't it fabulous?
Yeah. It's really nice.
And it really is. It's sometimes for guys, you're always trying to look for something a little bit outside of the box and a little bit different, and I think something like this really finishes off an outfit. Looks well,
And it's amazing the tones you can pick up on that waistcoat for the shirt.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what we did this morning. We went with this beautiful shirt. Again, this is, as you can see, it is the autumn-winter collection. It's literally just in store, but I think it really works very well with the waistcoat.
Yeah, really, you can pick up in the browns, you can pick up the blues, and you've decided to go with the kind of aubergine to pick up with
something a little bit different.
And would you always recommend a darker jean as well for these tones?
I definitely would with this particular tones, absolutely would. And I do think there's always something nice about the darker jean as well. But it's a very relaxed jean, as you can actually see, but they are nice and a great fit as well.
Where are they from?
Guy Clothing, all in Tullamore.
Are close up in there on your belt there, David?
We put the belt on with it as well. Actually, the thing about belts, I love a really good belt, and a guy should invest in a good belt when they're buying belts for their clothes, definitely. It's always a good piece to remember that.
Lovely. Now, David a second ago was doing the best show-off of shoes I've seen in such a long time. He was up on his tippy toes. Check out these boots.
Aren't these just great? I'm loving these. See, look at this. He's well able to rock these boots.
Go on, David.
But these are just fabulous. And again, like that, I think it just brings the whole look together. It really, really finishes off the full look. And again, the boots, you can wear them with anything. And you can actually wear those boots with a suit as well if you want to do something a little bit different.
And you're taking it right through winter as well. Yeah.
You sure are.
There you are.
Gorgeous. Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Lovely outfit. Sarah is back. We've gone casual now. You've got a casual one.
Completely, because I want to be able to show the waistcoats in a little bit, something a little bit different. And we're back to the Athlone and Town Centre, and this full look is from Villa. And of course, we went with the denim waistcoat. Again, like that, we know traditionally our denim jackets, but of course, this is the waistcoat version of it. We actually were going to go with another top underneath this morning, but we felt it was nicer without it. I actually preferred it without it. But again, you can wear it trans-seasonal, which is important when you're picking, particularly this time of year when you're buying. Now you want to be able to try and get another couple of months out of it into the winter.
Okay, lovely. And then from the waistcoat, we're going to move down. You've matched them with a light. You've gone dark and then light.
I have, just because obviously at the time of year, I just went with the beige trousers. They're a mom-style jean, really, really comfortable and high-waisted, which I know that everything about high waist when it comes to jeans. I just can't do low-waist jean, but they're very, very comfortable and a great stretch on these jeans as well.
Absolutely gorgeous. And are we going to go to the runners next, or are we going to the bag?
And then on the...
Go to the bag. Look at that.
We're going to the bag. And the bag then is from Burke by Design. It's a wonderful accessory store down in Clonakilty in Cork. And again, like that, we've seen a lot of the straw bags this season, as you know yourselves. They're a real summer piece, I think. And we just teamed up just to bring, as I said, keeping it more of a casual look this morning.
I really love that.
And keeping up with the accessories, got the glasses as well.
We do indeed. And
we'll go to the runners very quickly.
Just looking at the trainers. The trainers are from Shoelace in the Athlone Town Centre. And I'm loving the tones on these. And again, like that, they're slightly little wedged, which if you're like my size of myself, you want to have a little bit of height. That's what I love about these. And they're comfortable.
Lovely, yeah, they do look very bouncy.
Yeah, they're great, loving them.
And look at you, the Dua Lipa glasses that you brought out.
We just went with the glasses. Sure, you know yourself, we're getting a bit of sun for one day of July, so we decided let's rock out the boat completely.
Oh, if it's raining, I'm still wearing the glasses.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, just to finish off the full look with the glasses then, and it's said all from the Athlone Town Centre.
Absolutely gorgeous, Sarah. Thank you so much for that. Mandy's wearing the big high runners.
I'm wearing the big high runners myself.
She has a little bit of bounce. So
I need the height, that's why.
Fabulous.
5 foot doesn't look. Anyways, we won't go there.
Thank
you both. Yeah, rocking the waistcoats, that's all about.
Now, Sean, what is up next?
We're helping you to get 40 weeks.
Bad timing,
40 weeks.
Sean.
If we haven't put you to sleep already, we're going to get we have some sleep gadgets to put you to sleep. Stay with us. Oh. Now it's a problem as old as time, the lack of sleep.
Sure, we love talking about it. Gadget guru Colin Baker is here showing us technology to help you sleep better, and he has gone all out. He's brought us in a bed. He's dressed like Ken from the Barbie movie. We love
well,
it.
You can't say I don't put in a little bit of effort.
Put on the PJs. I actually want the PJs.
Big energy, big energy.
I'll lend you them.
We're going to start with, now people talk about this all the time because it's a big cost. This is the Dyson.
John was asking me this before. He said, is it really worth it? And I have to be brutally honest here, as I always am. I was knocking them for years. I called it a way overpriced fan.
Yeah, what is it, 750 quid?
750 euro. It's a hell of a lot of money.
What does it do?
Do you know what? It's worth twice that.
What does it do?
I can't get over it.
Why?
It's an air
Just cook your
purifier,
breakfast.
okay? So that'd be nice too. And then I'd pay
Air
twice.
fryer / purifier.
Yeah. And a car. Get you to work. What it does is, it's an air purifier. Now, one of the engineers mentioned to me, he was actually in the shop there recently, and he said, we spend so long thinking about our nutrition, what we put in our bodies, how we exercise, but we don't think about the air we breathe, because we generally don't have a huge amount of control over it. But it's very, very effective on the way we live and our health.
Yeah.
Now, what this is doing, if we think of particles in the air as being a measurement, we'll talk about microns. This filters out the air to what's called 0.1 of a micron. Now, that means it filters out allergens, dust, in this case, formaldehyde, which comes from furniture and lacquered materials and adhesives. All these are at least they're toxins, allergens, pollutants in the air.
But did you
and
notice
that
the difference?
Yes, big time. Okay. The first night, funnily enough, I didn't. I thought it was quite bizarre as my lungs got used to this cleaner air. But what it now does, I normally drink two pints of water at night because I dry out so much. And I wake up with that very dry throat. I have eye allergies as well, which I don't know what it's from, but it's reduced it to almost nothing now. So I don't wake up with those sort of puffy eyes. I don't wake up with that dry throat. And I'm not drinking water through the night, so I'm not going to the bathroom 3 or 4 times.
That's remarkable,
so it's absolutely worth every penny, and I'm not giving it back to Dyson. And I hate admitting that I was so wildly wrong. I mean,
you're not giving
but
it
it's
dust.
worth it.
Well, there you go now.
So from purifying the air to humidifying the air, what have we got here?
This is another thing. If this is too wildly expensive, which pretty much is, this is an inexpensive version of it. This is about humidifying the air around you. Now, in a lot of modern homes that are very well insulated, or they use heat exchange or air conditioning, it really dries out the air. And if you are a mouth breather at night like me, you'll snore a lot, you'll drink a lot of water, you'll go to the bathroom a lot. Humidifying the air in your immediate area really improves that. And again, this one, all it does, you drop water into the reservoir down below. I actually put some Vicks in as well, so you get that nice aroma out of it as well. They're €29, so very inexpensive.
Right,
plugs into USB charger, off you go. AirPods. Now, AirPod Pros, they're actually my AirPod Pros there, but they're €300. I'm always fearful of losing them. But the biggest thing about them is the noise cancelling. I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but when you turn it on, it cancels out the noise around you. So if noises bother you at night, this is a great way to deaden them all. Now, €300, that's also a great way to deaden your pocket. These are only €49, and they're almost the same. I gotta hand it to them. It's not quite as effective on the noise deadening, but you've got the transparency mode as well, so that you can hear everything around you for safety.
Which is really important.
Very important.
Like if you're out and about and if you're in traffic and you're walking.
You go into transport, so you can still hear your podcast or whatever, but you can hear everything almost amplified.
But when you're sleeping at night, I can't sleep without listening to a podcast.
Turn on the noise cancelling, and it deadens all the noise around you.
That's amazing.
And they're only €49.
So you won't
I have
hear
to
your
say,
baby.
the touch, and ideal, or your other half. But the touch sensitive on each pod as well. So very, very clever devices and inexpensive as well.
What's this thing
This
here?
is called a Sonox sleep robot. The idea here is that you hug it, it plays sleep sounds, and what it does is it takes your breathing, it matches your breathing as you breathe, and then it slows that breathing to your optimal breathing rate for sleep.
How?
Now, there apparently is, what it does is it listens through sensors to your own breathing, and then it slows that down. And apparently, scientifically, because this moves in and out and makes sounds, you end up matching its breathing rate.
It's 550
and that, apparently, it's a hell of a lot of money. I'll be honest, I wouldn't buy it. My sister bought this one. She loves it. So I suppose maybe there's a certain psychological aspect to it as well.
It's an expensive cuddle.
It's absolutely.
But it's interesting as to what works for you. If it works for you, it's worth all the money.
Horses for courses. I always say, if you're really having trouble sleeping and this works, brilliant.
So it's kind of the principle of meditation, isn't it? That it slows down your breathing and relaxes
Absolutely,
you, which is also what this Headspace app
This is developed by this Andy chap who apparently has this very sexy voice. He's very sort of Billy Connolly-esque, except more English. I don't know if Billy Connolly has a sexy voice.
I'm not sure I would have said sexy.
Was that wrong? Stephen Fry maybe we'll go with. But the Headspace app, he's a Buddhist, or he was a Buddhist monk, and he developed this. There's been 65 million people download this. So it's apparently quite revolutionary. I find the sounds, I'd rather silence at night, but I do find the wind down feature very clever. So it takes you through a story. There's one particular one about a lighthouse and the lighthouse closing down and closing the windows. You kind of just winding you down and taking you away from those overthinking thoughts. I find that very effective. And then you can choose to have that wind down to silence, which is brilliant. And I do find that effective.
It is absolutely all over the place.
€12 or so a month.
13 quid a month, and people love it. Listen,
it is very effective.
Let's talk about the septum ring. Can we talk about the anti-septum ring?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is an anti-snoring device. Now, I have no way of verifying this, aside from the fact that I recorded my snoring the other night without using any of the other devices, and it was down by 20%.
Okay.
Now, maybe my sleep was too. I don't know. You clip
Did you have this on as well? The Dyson as well?
No, I did. I deliberately kept everything else off so that, for scientific reasoning.
For a tenner.
Down 20%. I put it in, and it's 2 magnets and a silicone clip, and it just opens the nasal cavities. It's quite comfortable. It was a little bit uncomfortable for the first couple of minutes, but then you get used to it.
And that's
it does seem to work.
And you can feel like you're Florence Pugh because you're putting a ring up your septum. Where can people find out more?
Backfromthefuture.ie or at Gadget Guy. Colin is my Instagram.
There you go. Good man, Colin Baker. Thank you so much for that. Now it's over to Katia to find out what's coming up tomorrow.
Now, Colin will have to watch out. I might rob that Dyson purifier off him. But anyway, tomorrow's show, Atomic Kitten singer Cliodhna and Irish rugby international Simon Zevo join us for a chat.
As they do. Plus, get your keyballs at the ready. We're learning about Ireland's swinging culture.
Join us live from 7 to find out all about that and more.
It's going to be a good day. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bit nervous.